Hari Om everyone. We are starting this class on Nyaya Sutras. We will start with the chanting first. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Gananam Tva Ganapati Havamahe कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। So we are starting this class on Nyaya Sutras. We are into the final chapter, first part, the fifth chapter, part 1. So for that we have done almost 10 sutras so far. So we'll continue from there. I'll just share it on screen first. So we saw the 9th and 10th earlier. So in that we were shown two fallacies. One is the Pratidishtant fallacy, and the other is Vichara. Karana Pratyavasthana fallacy. So two fallacies were shown here. One in which it is shown that whenever we give a cause for a proposition, then that cause is questioned. The cause is asked to be expanded once more. So for that, that is called the fallacy. There is no problem as such with the asking for the cause to be clarified. But the thing is, by this process, the opponent has not established anything of his own, as is the case with most jati fallacies. But also that he has not established, but this is something that can continue on and on. He will question each and every hetu, each and every cause. And then pratidishtant is you give a reverse example, like we saw the example where when we are trying to prove that Atma has motion or not, Atma can move or not. So for that we use the example of the piece of earth or stone. So there the pratidishtant is given like that of space, where space also has the property of conjunction and motion. And so there also we have to see that because of that we cannot prove exactly that it also has motion, because space is all pervading, vibhu, eternal, so all pervading. So because of its all pervading nature, it cannot have motion. Why? Because if something is existing everywhere, then it has no other place to go to. The same with Atma also. So, but that also doesn't have the property of motion. So it is not wrong to give a pratidrishtant, but it is wrong to claim that you have won the argument, right? So that we'll look at in the 11th sutra also. So first we established the error of the hetu example, the balancing the hetu. So we saw that whatever hetu is given, whatever cause is given for that, asking the person to give another cause is like in the 10th sutra we saw Pradeep apadan prasang nivrittivat tadvat nivrittihi. So Pradeep is a lamp, Pradeep apadan prasang nivrittivat. So for removing the doubt about a lamp or the existence of a lamp. mm, Tadvad nivritti. That is how we remove the doubt about the person asking for the giving another cause. Huh? So just like it is in a way the regress ad infinitum fallacy that we shall see later also. So in regress ad infinitum, we say that if you say what is the cause of something, then you ask what is the cause of that thing also, and so on and so forth. But you have to remember that this, whenever we are trying to establish something, only the interrelationship between two objects matter, right? So what came first, the hen or the egg? If you are talking about a particular hen, then the egg will come earlier, right? Or if you are talking about a particular egg, then the hen will come before that. So, but if you start to question which hen came after, before that, what was there? So it will go on to what we call a regress ad infinitum, or what another fault which we call the circular defect, chakrapatti dosh, that also is there. So simply for now, what we are using is the example to say that whenever we are using an example to illustrate something or prove something, then the example is serving as a lamp, right? As something that illumines. What does the example do? It illumines whatever wrong knowledge or false knowledge or insufficient knowledge we have about a certain thing, like the smoke on the hill. It is not telling us whether the fire is there. So by using the example in the kitchen, that example we say is sufficient. So just like we don't need a series of lamps to illuminate each other, for one lamp is itself sufficient to illuminate the cause or the thing that we are searching for, the example that we are searching for. The lamp itself does not need to be illuminated. So that is what we say. That is the reasoning why the lamp does not require another lamp to be illuminated, right? So that is how we deny this first, the hetu one. Uh, so then pratidishtan, for that, what do we how do we refute that? This we'll do today. So the person, what he gave effectually was how this for pratidishtan. So pratidishtan, he had given an example whereby he said that uh, the space is also having the property of conjunction. It has the property of conjunction with all the objects through which it passes through. So, but in spite of that property, space does not have what we call motion, right? It does not have the property of motion. So just like using the stone or the clod of earth, it has the property of motion. We were trying to prove that the Atma also has motion. So using that property, we went back and tried to prove it. But then he, a new example has been brought. So that example in itself is not a problem, right? But using that example, he has not created what we call a new proof for his own proposition, right? So just like we were not by this thing, we are also not able to prove. I'll not say we, I will say the Vadi, the first person. The first person has, because actually, when you look at it from the point of logic, Atma having motion is also wrong. So here also the first person is actually wrong. But we have to keep that aside in a debate. In a debate, wrong or right comes later. First is if someone is using a jati prayog, right? So that is how we have to call out his bluff. We have to call out the bluff of the person. So he is saying pratidishtant. So we say pratidishtant hetutve na cha na ahetu drishtant. So that is the next one. So uh, we say that this example that you are giving, the example that we are giving is for establishing that Atma is motion. Now you are giving a new one. So the second example also cannot be established. It cannot be accepted unless we establish a chain of reasoning. We have to give a chain of reasoning as to why the second example should be allowed. So, and other reason is what? We have understood the concept of Vyapti. Vyapti is when an example should satisfy all the conditions of a uh, the object and the object to be proved at the example that is being given. So all the conditions should be satisfied. Hmm. So if you are saying that all objects that have the property of conjunction, they have motion. So now the opponent has given an example whereby space is having the property of conjunction. It uh, does not have space does not have the property of motion. It does not move. Space does not move. So now my vyapti is being negated, right? The vyapti that I gave all objects, because from that a new object has come out, space, where my vyapti does not hold. All objects does not hold. So here now the vyapti is not holding, but now what the opponent has given, his vyapti is not also holding. Na? His vyapti is also hindered. He is also not able to give universal set of objects whereby all those objects don't have motion. That is also not being done. So he is again, as I said, not able to prove anything new of his own. So he cannot claim a win. Basically, that is what we have to say. You cannot claim a win unless you prove your point also. You can negate my point. That means the discussion is yet to be settled. But you cannot say that you were wrong. And so because of that, I have won the argument because I proved a flaw in your argument. You have to prove the opposite argument also. So the Vyapti is not formed. So what we say is there must be some middle term. There must be a middle term or a hetu establishing the interrelationship. So like in Yatra yatra dhum tatra tatra vannihi. Wherever there is smoke, there is a fire. That is the vyapti we are giving. So this vyapti, it cannot be disproved. This vyapti cannot be disproved. So no need of a second example. Hmm. But if a second example, it finds a range outside of the vyapti, something that exists outside, that we will call it ati vyapti. So if ati vyapti is found, then it cannot be used to prove that. But the vyapti that is given by the other person should also be sufficient to prove his point. That is the main reasoning that we give, why the person has not won the argument. It should still continue. And then further, what he's saying, what we are saying again, the Sutrakar is reinforcing it, as I said also. Prag utpatte. Oh no, sorry. This one is the next. This is the 12th sutra. So 12th sutra, if you count in series, this will form the 13 logical fallacies, because we saw in one sutra itself there were 6 fallacies. So this is the 13th one. So prag utpatte karan abhavat anutpatti sab. Prag utpatte karan abhavat anutpatti sab. Right. So prag utpatte. So Prag is before Utpatte, before it's born. Karan is the effect. Karan is the effect. Karan abhavat. The effect is not available. Abhav. The effect is absent. That kind of logical fallacy is called anutpatti sab. The balancing the non-produced. Anutpatti. Utpatti is produced. Anutpatti is non-produced. So that is the balancing the non-produced jati. So if effect before it is born, being in the causal state, before it is born, it is in the causal state. So an argument is given about its properties before being produced. The fallacy will be called balancing the non-produced. So if you take an example, so if a person says that a pot is produced by effort, जो भी pot होता है, whatever is a pot, there has to be a potter who has to produce it using effort. Then because it is produced from effort, it is not eternal. Same thing we can apply to sound also. Sound also is produced by effort, and then it also is not eternal. I'm not giving all the 5 steps. You can understand from here. The initial thing is, the thing to be proved is sound is not eternal. So we say sound is not eternal. Why? Because just like a pot is produced by effort, it is also non-eternal. Sound is also produced by effort, then also it is non-eternal. So now the opponent will say that sound is not cognized before being produced. Before being produced, you cannot recognize or hear sound. So before being produced, there is that sound is what we can call the unmanifest state. The sound is in the unmanifest state. That is what he is saying. So before being produced, you cannot apply non-eternality as the soundness is present. Or you can say the sound is present in the unmanifest state even before it is produced. So, so that means what? Then if you cannot apply non-eternality to that point, then that means the sound is eternal, right? A weird kind of argument, but you it is used in arguments. So what is actually the position here? Actually, the sound is non-existent before being produced, right? The sound is non-existent before being produced. So the potential for it being produced, potential for that sound to be produced, it belongs to the Karan or the cause. It belongs to the Karan. There are two Karans we saw. What are the two Karans? Nimitta Karan and Upadan Karan. Right? That potential belongs to the Nimit and Upadan Karan. So for a pot, what is the Nimit Karan? Does anyone remember what is Nimit Karan, Upadan Karan for a pot?
Nimitta Karanam is the potter, Upadana is the mud.
But yes, very good. So Nimitta and Upadan Karan, they have the potential to produce the pot. The potential belongs to them, right? And so now the cause was not present. The effect was not present then. The effect it will come into play at the time of production. So applying the properties of sound after it is being produced to something not yet produced cannot be used as an argument. That fallacy is balancing the non-production. So this is of course answered in the sutra also. We should not try to answer ourselves. So it is said here also, तथा अभावात् उत्पन्नस्य कारण उपपत्तेः न कारण अप्रतिषेधः. Okay, when you are free later on, do try to separate these words so that you can understand the individual words, maybe listen from the lecture or whatever. So, because you have to understand what the different words are in Sanskrit, we have this very beautiful technique called Sandhi, but it also becomes confusing because how do you apply it to separate the words when they have been joined? So, tatha and bhav, if you say bhav is something exists. Abhav is non-existent. So why? Because now there is an so you have to split it as abhav, right? So if you separate these words, what are the words? Tatha abhavat, abhavat. There will be a ta. Then you will say why ta? There is a da here. So why? Because there is a sandhi here again. So ta plus the u that is there. There is a vowel there. Or any vowel if present after ta, after sandhi, it will convert to the. So if you know the Hindi alphabet or Sanskrit alphabet, in the series of ta, tha, da, dha, na, so ta and tha, if they are there, they will be replaced by the next letter, which is the third letter in the series, the. That is what happens as a rule. There is a scientific reason for that also. So sometimes if we do Sanskrit classes, I will teach you. So, tatha abhavat उत्पन्नस्य कारण उपपत्तेः कारण then u plus a will become o. So when you split it, it will be karan. U plus a will be o. So when you split it, u will be remaining. So karan upapattehe. Then the upapatte, after upatte, there is a visarg, two dots. Upapatte. So when you remove that visarg, then by sandhi, the ra sound comes now. So upatterna, karan upatterna. But when you split it, the ra will go away. So karan upattehe, karan apratishedah. So what are we saying here? If actually what I told you a little earlier also, the properties of the object being unavailable before being produced. The properties of the object means we are saying the effect here, okay? The effect, like we have sound here. So the properties of sound, they are being unavailable before being produced. So that cannot be used to disprove the argument. Upapatte karan upapatте karan apratishedah, that cannot be used to disprove the argument about its properties after being produced. The properties become available only after being produced. Sound becomes the subject only after being produced. Sound becomes the subject only after being produced. So the argument that it is eternal since it is not available before being produced is not right. So you are saying that before being produced, that is in the unmanifest state, it is eternal. Before, in the unmanifest state, everything is eternal because it will sometimes be manifest, sometimes be unmanifest. So in that way, everything is eternal. Nothing can you prove to be non-eternal. But why? What do we say about what is the rule about proving something as eternal, as non-eternal? Is it exists or it is visible for a small time? Otherwise, it is not visible or it is not available. So, like existence, pure existence is available all the time. Everything it is there all the time. There is no before or after for that. But if from that existence, what is born out? All the objects of the world. So all those objects are non-eternal because they appear and they go away. They take a form or a shape and they go away. So we can use like a modern example. You will say water is cool to the touch, right? Water is cool to the touch. So now before being born, what was water? Hydrogen and oxygen, right? So when you burn hydrogen in oxygen, you will get water. So you say in the cause there is hydrogen and oxygen are there, so they are not cool to the touch. Hydrogen, in fact, can it can burn you up. Oxygen, if it even if it won't burn you up, but when it brought in contact with other objects, it can be warm to the touch. So the coolness of water is not present, and of course there are other reasons also. Hydrogen and oxygen are not visible to the eye. Water is visible to the eye. So you cannot say that before being produced, after being produced, the water has cooled to the touch. So before being produced, it has the property of being a gas. So water is also a gas. You cannot do that, right? So that way, तथा अभावात् उत्पन्नस्य कारण उपपत्तेः कारण अप्रतिषेध. You cannot impose the properties of the cause onto the effect. You cannot map them from there to here. So therefore, whenever we are talking about an effect, then the effect and its properties should only be used to conclude any kind of relation or any kind of observation about its eternality, non-eternality, or whatever we are trying to produce, right? So in this way, that fallacy that we gave in the previous sutra, anutpatti sam, it is not a very valid argument, right? So next we look at the 14th one, sanshaya sam. Sanshaya is basically a doubt. So sanshaya sama is balancing the doubt, the fallacy of balancing the doubt. So samanya दृष्टान्तयोः सामान्य दृष्टान्तयोः ऐन्द्रियकत्वे समाने नित्ये अनित्ये साधर्म्यात् संशय. So sanshaya sama is a logical fallacy. What does it involve? Sanshaya sama is a logical fallacy or balancing the doubt. It happens when two objects are common objects of perception. You will apply it to two objects that are both commonly the objects of perception. Indriya katve. See that word in the middle? Saman drishtantayo indriya katve. They are commonly objects of perception. Then saman drishtantayo. Then we take the common properties, common properties of the two objects. Saman drishtantayo indriya katve. Then taking the eternal samanya nitya anitya. Then taking the eternal and non-eternal natures of the object, a doubt is cast to oppose the argument or to create a doubt is created. Sanshaya, sadharmyat sanshaya. So repeat here the full meaning. The sanshaya shama logical fallacy or balancing the doubt happens when two objects are common objects of perception, two objects are commonly equally perceived, then taking the eternal and non-eternal natures of the object. What is the eternal nature? The unmanifest state of the object. That is the eternal nature always. And the non-eternal nature is what? The non-eternal nature is the visible aspect of any object. So using these two, a doubt is cast to oppose the argument that oppose an argument about their properties. So, like if we say, example again, the sound example we can take. So, like if we say sound is not eternal because it is an object of perception, like a pot. So, just like you can perceive the pot with your eyes, how do we perceive sound? With the ears, right? So, ear is illuminating the sound. So, just like the eyes are illuminating the pot, the eyes can see the pot. Yeah, that is why we call the sense organs indriya. They illuminate the objects. There is another word for that, go. I also gave the reasoning for that also, why they are called go. Go is light. So, because the sense objects, sense organs illuminate their respective sense objects. So, if we say that sound is non-eternal because it is an object of perception like a pot, every object of perception is changing and hence non-eternal. Right? Any object is that you can perceive is non-eternal. That is a general formula or general theory. So now the opponent, what will he do? He has to cast doubt and he will say sound eternal or non-eternal? That is his doubt. He is creating the doubt. Is sound eternal or non-eternal? Because it is an object of perception, then it is eternal, then it is non-eternal, or like potness or soundness. So soundness is what? Soundness or potness is the unmanifest nature of an object. That potness is always available. A pot might not be physical available to me in front of my eyes, but potness or the unmanifest state of the pot is always there. It is always there. Similarly, soundness also. It seems a strange word to use, soundness or potness, but essentially that is what it means. Ghatatva, yeah, Shabdatva, that is the word used in Sanskrit. Ghatatva or Shabdatva. So, Shabdatva and Ghatatva are Nitya. The soundness or potness are always Nitya. Uh, so now creating a doubt. So the pot is not eternal, but potness is said to be eternal in a way because potness may stay in unmanifest state. So even if the pot is not manifest, the potness is existing in the unmanifest state, and both are perceived by the indriyas or sense organs. The sense organs, how are they perceived? The pot is perceived directly and the potness is perceived mentally, right? So for the potter, in his mind there is the image of the pot. That is why we say the potential for manifesting the pot rests with the nimitta and upadan karan. The potter can imagine the shape of the pot in his mind, and the mud is needed for him to manufacture the pot physically. So both these, so the doubt is cast by the person saying that which of your fallacy, which of your reasoning should we accept? Is that pot eternal or non-eternal? Because in one state, manifest state, it is non-eternal, unmanifest it is eternal. So this is answered in the next one. In this example, I have taken in this particular sutra, I have taken the example from the text itself. If you have the text, I gave it to you, I think, earlier. I think Anita may not have. I will send if you want. So, so the 15th sutra. Sadharmyat, lot of sanshaya words. Don't worry, it's not. I will clarify it. The sadharmyat sanshaye na sanshayoho वैधर्म्यात् उभयथा वा संशय अत्यंत संशय प्रसंग नित्यात् अन अभय उपगमात् च सामान्यस्य अप्रतिषेध. So we are denying this casting of doubt by the opponent. So what do we say? Apratished. This kind of the last word is apratished. This kind of opposition we are not accepting. It is not valid. So why? Sadharmyat sanshaye na sanshayo. So there can be doubt if two objects possess common properties. So determine which is which can be a problem. You can mistake a tree stump for a man when there is dark, right? So common property is what? The shape of the tree stump and the man is the same. But once the differences are known, Ubhayatha va sanshaya. Once the differences are known, the doubt will vanish. There will be no doubt, right? So, but if there is a doubt of both, so in first case, what is happening is there is a doubt about the nature of an object, about some common properties. Once I actually perceive the object, then the similar and dissimilar attributes are known to me, and so I can distinguish the two objects. But if there is a doubt of both similar and dissimilar attributes, then doubt can never go away. So if the doubt is not removed, if as long as the two are in the dark, the doubt will never go away. So then atyant sanshaya prasanga, atyant sanshaya prasanga. So in the middle of the sentence, adharmyat sanshaya na sanshayo, ve dharmyat ubhayatha va sanshaya, atyant sanshaya prasanga. So there will be a occasion where there will be atyant sanshaya prasanga when we say both are similar. So eternality cannot be thus established by showing common properties or homogeneity with the example. Eternality, whether the object is eternal, it cannot be established by showing common properties or homogeneity with the example. So what is the what is the sentence saying here? First we are saying this kind of opposition is not valid. Why? Because you are saying that there is a doubt, but we say that there can be doubt if two objects possess common properties. So determining which is which can be a problem, just like the tree stump is mistaken for a man. But once the differences are known, the doubt vanishes. Once the differences are known, doubt vanishes. So once I know the pot is manifest or unmanifest, the doubt has vanished. So if I am just considering the pot, then the pot is non-eternal. If I'm just considering the unmanifest pot, then it is eternal. But if there is a doubt, but if there is a doubt of both the similar and dissimilar attributes, as long as the similar and dissimilar attributes are not perceived, so then doubt will never go away. There will atyant sanshaya. So you cannot establish your position. The doubt will remain only. So for removing the doubt, we have to take one of the states, right? Either we take the unmanifest state or the manifest state. Whichever way you want to choose, you choose your choice. And once you choose, we will give you the answer. So if you say to me the pot needs to be proved whether it is eternal or not, I can easily prove by logic it is non-eternal. And if you want to say potness or the unmanifest state of the pot is, so there also you cannot say sanshaya. You cannot apply your sanshaya to doubt two different objects, right? You have to specify which object. So that is why your objection is not valid. So eternality cannot be thus established by showing common properties or homogeneity with the example. So sound and soundness or pot and potness may share common properties, but if there is even one property that is different, then the eternality of sound must be negated, as eternal objects have all things in common. So on the grounds of homogeneity, that two things have similar properties, we may at best entertain a doubt of the eternality of sound. So if we are talking about sound and unmanifest sound together, then we can have maximum a doubt whether it is eternal or not. But if you take on the grounds of difference, take either of the two, then we will have to accept that the manifest sound is non-eternal. So to ascertain the true nature of a thing, we have to weigh both the homogeneity and heterogeneity. And if both are doubtless, then only we can be sure. But if there is a doubt of even one count, then the doubt will persist eternally. So now we look into the next one, Prakaran Sab. So Prakaran is when there is a situation that is being discussed, there can be different ways of looking at that situation, and those different ways will involve what we call a controversy, right? We cannot decide what is what. So there will be a controversy. So prakaran is used there. Prakaran sum is the fallacy. Balancing the controversy is the fallacy. So where does it arise? Ubhaya sadharmyat prakriya siddhehe prakaran sum. Ubhaya. So Ubhaya is both. Huh? So by Ubhaya Sadharmyat. Sadharmyat is properties that are common. So by the common properties of both eternal and non-eternal objects and the reverse opposing properties of both too, if the process of debate is prolonged so that a conclusion is not reached. Is there a question in chat? Anita, you're saying something? I see a yes from you.
Oh, George had asked the question, sir, so I just
Okay.
responded.
Yes, okay then. Limit card. Okay, you had answered that earlier also. So he's clarifying, right? Okay, good. So Ubhay Sadharmyat Prakriya Siddhe Prakaran Sum. The Prakaran Sum or balancing the controversy fallacy by the common properties of both eternal and non-eternal objects and the reverse opposing properties of both too. If the process of debate is prolonged, Prakriya Siddhe, the process of proving something, Prakriya, is prolonged so that a conclusion is not reached in the prakaran or the case in point, then that is the prakaran sama jati. In that case in point, there is some kind of controversy. So that is the prakaran sama fallacy. So how does it work? So if the Vadi says sound is not eternal, that is the pratikya, right? Vadi is saying sound is not eternal, the first person, because it is produced after effort. So that is the hetu, the cause. And then the distant is given like a pot. Pot is the distant, what the pot is produced after effort. So whatever is produced is not eternal. That is the upnaya or the uh, that is the relationship that is established between the hetu and the distant. And then hence hence it is not eternal. So the sound is not eternal, hence proved. So now what is the Jativadi saying here? In this case, Prakaran Samjati, he will say Shabda is Nitya as it is grasped by the ear. Right? Shabda is grasped by the ear. Then Shabda Jati is also grasped by the ear. Hence it is eternal. Hmm. Or you can say Shabda is like space and hence eternal. Thus the discussion will continue, right? He is using opposite attributes or similar attributes. So using all of them, he is creating a doubt. So then the reverse also can be used. You can use Nitya also for Sadharmya. So again, the same thing, Vadi will say Shabd is eternal as it is forever attached to the Akash, which is eternal. So here we are taking the reverse proposition. So the Vadi, the first person is saying what? Shabda is eternal, right? So as Shabda is eternal, it is forever attached to the Akash. Akash is considered, in Nyaya terms, it is considered almost eternal. Actually, Akash is also not eternal, but let us take it that way. So, again, here, what the Jativadi will say? Shabda is not Nitya. Shabda is not Nitya. Why? As it vanished after hearing. So, after hearing, the Shabda is not there. So, hence, it is non eternal. And this way, the discussion is not going to end, right? So whether we say in the beginning that Shabda is Nitya and we give the reasoning for that also the Jativadi will negate by keeping on the argument. And if we say the Shabda is not Nitya, then also he will negate, right? So whatever we say, he will negate. So that kind of discussion is called the never concluding, the Prakarana Sama Jati. So how do we answer this? So we've seen this earlier also, nothing very special about this. What do we say simply? Prove your point. Don't just poke holes in our argument. Prove your point. Pratipakshat prakaran siddhe pratished anupapatti pratipaksh upapatti. So pratipaksh is the opposite proposition or the opposing argument of the other person. Pratipaksh prakaran siddhe. So we have to say the prakaran, the situation that you're talking about, the situation where we are discussing, you have to prove that also. Pratipakshat prakaran siddhe. Pratished anupattihi pratipaksh uppatte. So the opponent needs to prove his point. The opponent, he has to prove his point, and that for that he must present a conclusive point. You cannot just disagree me with me by proving so, by giving something, some opposing example. So if you agree to the what the Wadi is saying, if the opponent is agreeing to the Wadi, then there is no need for the refutation. And if he doesn't, he must disprove the argument. You have to disprove the argument. Otherwise, he cannot prolong the argument and win it. So prolonging an argument is considered wrong in the terms of a debate. Prolonging is allowed only when it can help us reach a conclusion. That this will come in a different way in the second chapter also, in the second part of this chapter also, where we have what we call the Nigrah Sthan fallacy. So Nigrah Sthan fallacy also, there are two fallacies there. One is trying to keeping an argument prolonged by keeping on asking irrelevant questions, or also running away from an argument by citing that I have something more important to do. So that we'll see later. So here, what basically we are saying is that the opponent is just trying to waste time. So if I say Shabda is eternal, then also he gives an opposing argument, giving the example of Akash. And if he says Shabda is not eternal, then also he gives another example, that the sound vanishes after hearing. So pratipakshat prakaran siddhe pratished anupattihi pratipaksh upatte. So you cannot prove your pratipaksha unless you give a proper logical system. So just like I have given, the Jativadi, the Wadi has given Panch Avyava, the five stage argument. You have to give the five-stage argument for proving your point also. Otherwise, wasting time with these tactics is not right. So now we look at the ahetusam fallacy. So Traikalya asiddhehe hetuho ahetusam. So now for proving an argument, what is the major process that we use? What is the major process? We need a reasoning. The reasoning. So cause and reason might confuse us a bit here, because in the next few sutras, that is how it will produce. So we will stick to reason, because cause is also used in the sense of cause and effect, right? So that is, cause and effect is something that is the karan and karya. So karya is the cause, karya is the effect, sorry, and karan is the cause. But hetu is a cause in the reason, in the way of something is the cause of some kind of reasoning that we are giving. Why this happens? Because. So here we can use another word, reason, right? So traikalya siddhe hetoho ahetusam. So whenever you are giving a hetu, that is, opponent says, whenever you give me a hetu for a particular proposition, traikalya Traikalya se asiddhe. In all three times, that hetu will not work. That is called a hetu sum fallacy. That is called the fallacy of proving the cause. So now, what are the three times? Past, present, and future, right? So in all three, he is saying that you cannot prove your hetu is working. Why? Because let us say that this cause or this reason or hetu that you are giving is supposed to exist before the object being proved. So then what is happening? There is the absence of the object that you are proving. Then what is it the cause of? The object itself is absent, then how can you use that hetu in that case? And then take the one in the future first then. So if in the future, what will happen is, if it is supposed to exist after the object, the cause or the reasoning is existing after the object existing, then it cannot be used to prove the object now. Because your cause hetu existing in the future only. And now finally the present one, he says, if both are existing together in the present, then how will we decide that what is the object and the object to be proved and what is the method or the sadhan for using it? Thus proving that hetu won't work in all three times. So he says this is a hetu sama. Whatever hetu you give, whatever kind of hetu, I will not accept all three times. It is not. So he is not questioning the process. He is not even questioning the hetu that you are giving. He is not even questioning the dristant you are giving. He is simply saying your hetu will not work at all three states of time. Right? So this we answer how? 19. So na hetutah sadhya siddhe त्रैकाल्य असिद्धि. So Traikalya asiddhi, this we say is no, there is no reason for you to negate the cause in the three times. Why? Na hetu to sadhya siddhe. Because the cause, because that reason is established by a sound logical process. This reason is established by a sound logical process. The effect cannot be available in the absence of a cause. The effect is not available in the absence of a cause, but the hetu or cause here is related to the sadhya and or the thing to be proved. Hence, it's coming before the proof is not a contradiction. How? Because there is a reason that we have ready-made. Whatever time it exists does not matter whether it exists in the past, present, or future. That reason is there. Whenever we need an application for it proving something, one reason can prove multiple things, right? One reason can prove multiple things. Like we say, uh, Prag utpattehe vastu abhavat. Before being born, an object is not there, non-existent. Before manifesting, object is not manifest. So this thing we can apply to all the different objects, different kind of objects, right? So one hetu you can apply to different objects. So the whether the hetu is there in the past, present, or future does not matter. Wherever we can establish a cause-effect relationship between the object and the hetu, then the hetu is going to work. So the possibility of it not working in all three times that you are saying is wrong, because there is what we call a cause effect sound logical process is established. When the logical process is established, then only the hetu will work. If the logical process is not there, hetu will not work in all three times also. That we can accept. But if that sound logical process is working, then it does not matter whether the hetu is in the past, present, or future, it will work. Of course, the hetu will have to be available all times. That means it was there in the past also, and it will be available in the present also, and it will also be there in the future. So that is there. So the fire and the smoke being together in the kitchen, it will exist all times. It was there in the past also, it is there in the present also, it will be there in the future also, and it can be used to prove the presence of uh, fire wherever there is smoke in at all times. So that is why we say that this Traikalya Siddhe fallacy of yours is not right. It is not correct. Right? So then we go to the 28th. So pratished anupattehe pratisheddhavya apratishedha. So whenever we are negating something, pratishedha anupattehe, that opposition we cannot accept, because just as the cause is invalid in all three times, the opposition is also valid in all three times. So what we are saying is, how does it work? You are saying that the hetu is not available, not valid at all three times, right? You are saying the hetu is not valid at all three times. So, so then can you produce a hetu then? Whatever hetu you will give, that also is also not valid at all three times. So your objection will disprove your process of proof also. Your objection of it. So, of course, we have disproved the logical basis of the hetu being not useful in all three times. But in addition, we say that even if we accept your proposition that the hetu or the cause or the reason is not going to work in all three times, that means you cannot use any kind of hetu for your proof also. So again, you will also not be able to prove anything. Pratished anupapatte, you will also not be able to prove. Because pratishedhavya, whatever you are trying to disprove, that is disproved for your own argument also. So the pratishedhavya, apratishedha. The Vadi has proved that after being produced, sound is not eternal. The Jativadi is denying this using a hetu some fault. Now that fault will apply to his argument also. So at what time will he apply his fault? What time will you apply your fault of a hetu sum? That fault is going to be negated at all three times also. So again, your argument will not work, right? Your argument will not work. So your uh, a hetu sum fallacy that we saw in the 18th sutra is refuted in the 19th and 20th. In the 19th, we say that the hetu is going to work at all three times, and in the 20th, even if you accept, then your a hetu sum fallacy will also go against yourself too, right? So now we go into another uh, logical fallacy, arthapatti sum. So just to understand arthapatti, we have seen this earlier also. What is arthapatti? Arthapatti is basically inferring the effect from the inferring the from looking at the effect, we can infer the cause. So we have not seen the cause, but we can infer. So simple one, the most common one, we are seeing that the road is wet. The street is wet. So I'll go out there and see there is no rain. But yesterday, when I went to sleep, there was also no rain. That means it rained while I was sleeping. So we are inferring the cause after looking at the effect. That is called the arthapatti, which is a method of proof, arthapatti. So something that is similar to arthapatti. So something that is similar to arthapatti. Any question? So something that is arthapatti sum. So when we are talking about balancing the presumption is presuming something or proving something from the effect, right? So the arthapatti sum logical fallacy is what does it say? Arthapattitaha अर्थापत्तितः प्रतिपक्ष सिद्धे अर्थापत्ति सम. So if someone is advancing an argument based on arthapatti, like inferring cause from effect, like as we said in the example, inferring rain from looking at the wet earth or wet road in the morning, then advancing an opposing argument from a presumption that there be other reasons is called arthapatti sama jati fallacy, right? So how do we say that? So Vadi is saying sound is non-eternal because it is produced like a pot, the common one we have seen in the last few also. So Jativadi will say what? Sound is presumed to be non-eternal as it is not perceptible by touch or vision. Hence it is eternal like the sky can also be accepted. So he is giving you an alternate reasoning, right? Just like we can say in the case of the rain also that no, it is not necessary that it rained. Maybe your gardener woke up in the night and decided to water the plants, and he sprinkled the water there. So that is also possible. But of course you can tell no the rain, how rain will be there and outside also. It will not be in within your house. So that way. So wow. So in this case, like we are taking an example of sound is non-eternal because it is produced like a pot. So Jativadi is saying that you are saying that sound is presumed. What you are saying is just your presumption. It is just your presumption, as it is because sound is not perceptible by touch or vision. So hence it is eternal like the sky. So the sky is not perceptible by touch or vision. So sky is eternal. So that way the sound is also eternal. So using of the reverse of arthapatti to produce doubt or presumption is called arthapatti sama. Time is running out, but we'll just finish this set of arguments. So it is the similar answer to the previous one also. Anuktasya arthapatte, पक्ष हाने उपपत्ति अनुक्तत्वात् अनेकांतिकत्वात् च अर्थापत्ति. Anekantikattvat is the key here. So anekantikattvat is drawing multiple conclusions from one single observation, right? Anekanti. So if we are saying if things unsaid or unproved, anuktasya, something that is unsaid or unproved, if things said unsaid or unproved could come by presumption, arthapatte, could come by presumption, then the argument of the opponent will also stand to be negated on account of the presumption being negated and heretic and not conducive to a reason. So the opponent is saying something, and whatever has not been said and something anuktasya, whatever has not been said, that if that could come by presumption, then the argument of the opponent is also standing to be negated. He like in the case of water, he can say that that the gardener sprinkled the water. So he cannot prove again that the gardener only sprinkled the water, because it might be the rain, it might be the gardener. So again, as we say, drawing what we call an anekantik conclusion, a conclusion having multiple reasons, is not sufficient. You have to give your own reason to prove your own conclusion. Maybe you have to give the testimony of the gardener that I sprinkled the water, whereas uh, the first person, the Vadi, has the facility to prove that it was rain only by seeing that other parts of the area are also wet. So he has this capacity, but the opponent, in fact, he may not have. So when you say that sound is eternal because it is uh, all pervading like the sky, then we will also say that sound is presumed to be eternal. You think that it is eternal because it is like a product like the pot. Sound is a product. So this would hurt the opponent itself. If we say that sound is non-eternal from its similarity to things as products, sound is non-eternal to other things that are products, then opposite also natural follows that sound is not similar to eternal things. So either way, no, we can't prove that sound is eternal or non-eternal. I have also not proved something. You have also not proved something. So the conclusion has multiple outputs. Anekantikatva. The conclusion has multiple solutions or multiple you can say reasonings. So if you presume, then you must prove it. If you are going to presume something, you must prove it. You have to prove that sound is like space and space is really eternal. You cannot make an assumption. So arthapatti, of course, by its nature also can have multiple conclusions. Arthapatti is something that has multiple conclusions. That does not mean that the initial statement is wrong. If something I have proved from arthapatti, you cannot say that it is wrong just by saying that there are multiple conclusions. So, like if we say man is an animal, right? So if you say man is an animal, then you cannot prove that argument wrong by saying that horse is also an animal, cow is also an animal. So that does not mean man is not an animal, right? That does not prove it. No, we are only claiming that man is man. We are not saying that only man is the animal. So in this way, using Arthapati Sama fallacy, you cannot disprove the main conclusion that is derived there. You can disprove. You can disprove if you can prove something of the other multiple conclusions in a final manner or in a conclusive manner. If you can do that, then we'll accept. If you can prove that the gardener watered the garden, and so there was water spread out onto the road or onto the driveway or whatever, then we can accept. But till then, my presumption, I can prove. If I can prove my presumption, that will have to be accepted. You cannot negate my presumption just by giving an alternate possibility. That is what is said here. So I think we'll wind up for today. We'll have to go into another two more fallacies in the next one. So we'll look into that in the next class. Okay. So, Om Purnamadav पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।